Alright, so welcome to this video. We're going to go ahead and look at some rational equations. So this is one of the types of equations that we looked at this past week, and kind of wanted to do a quick review for you so that you're ready for the rest of your quiz, or to finish your quiz up on Monday or Tuesday, depending what day I see you. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. This one is question number 4 from your Google quiz, so your Google form. And this one's similar to one of the ones that you're encountering on your quiz, and so this is the one that I noticed that a lot of you had questions on, and so we'll go ahead and go through this problem together. Okay, so we have 8 over x minus 2 plus 8 over x plus 2 equals 3, and when we're working with these problems, the first thing that you'd like to do, or the first thing you want to do, is just look at your denominators. And so if you notice, we only have 2 denominators here. And so what we're going to go back here and do is we're gonna get this thing called the LCD. And so the LCD, we can get it by just looking at our denominators. So for example, if I look at my first denominator, it is x minus 2. And then if I look at my second denominator, it is x plus 2. So what we've done, or what we're going to do, is we're going to use this thing here. We're going to multiply everything by x minus 2, x plus 2. So it's going to look like this. So we're going to have, let's see, let me get my pen out. So we're going to have, let's see, 8 over x minus 2. And then we're going to have plus, I'm just rewriting the problem here, x plus 2 equals 3. And so what I want to do is multiply everything by x minus 2, x plus 2. So it's going to look like this here. So x minus 2, x plus 2. The same thing with our second term here. And then finally the last term as well. So again, whatever you do to one thing of an equation, we have to do it to everything else in order to balance out what we're doing. Alright, so now we can go ahead and look at what we have, and let's see if we can cancel any terms out. So right away I notice that we can go ahead and cancel out this x minus 2 with this x minus 2. On the second fraction, I notice that we can cancel out these x plus 2's, and then there's nothing to cancel out in this last with this last term, since there is no fraction here. Alright, so what we now have is, let's see, we're going to have 8. And then we're going to have that left over with x plus 2, then plus another 8 left over with x minus 2. And then we have this 3 x minus 2 x plus 2. And many of you had questions on this last part, like how do we multiply this out? What do we do first? And so we'll go through this part very carefully together. Let's just work from left to right. So starting here, I'm going to go ahead and distribute. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute that 8, and we're going to end up with, let's see, 8x plus 16. Then I'm going to go ahead and distribute this 8 here, and so we will have plus 8x minus 16 equals. Now let's go ahead and work this side out. So here what we can go ahead and do is ignore this 3. So let's just save this 3 for the very end, and let's just open up a set of brackets, because what I want to do, what I would like to do is just multiply this times this first. So let's go ahead and take care of that, and let's just be very careful how we do that. So let's see, x times x is x squared, x times 2 is a positive 2x, negative 2 times x is a minus 2x, and then negative 2 times a positive 2 is a negative 4. And so hopefully you see that we can now combine some like terms. For example, we have 2x minus 2x. We know that that's going to go ahead and cancel out. So those will go away. And so what we now have, let me go ahead and rewrite this. Let's again go from left to right. So if I just try and combine some like terms, I know that I have 8x plus 8x. That's going to give me 16 x's. Then I also notice that I have, let's see here, let me highlight this in green. I have plus 16 minus 16. That's going to go ahead and just cancel out. So we now just have 16x left over. On the other side, we have 3, and then inside we have this x squared minus 4. And so what we can now do is take care of this 3 and go ahead and distribute. So now we're going to have, let's see, 16x on this side still, and we're going to have 3x squared minus 12. And so if you think about the equation that we now have, this is quadratic. So this is a quadratic equation, and again, remember, what gives it away that it's quadratic is that we have x squared here. So we have a quadratic equation. What we want to do is make it look something like this. So remember that quadratic equations, in order to solve some of them, we kind of want to rewrite it in terms of that, or make it look like that. And so what I notice here is that it doesn't equal 0. So what I'm going to do is move this 16x over. So that's going to leave me with 0 here. And then I'm going to have 3x squared. I'm not going to move that over. The 16x, when I moved it over, it's going to become a minus 16x. And then I'm going to have this minus 12. Now, before you start, you want to look at all your coefficients here. So I notice I have a 3, 16, and 12. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do to factor this is we're going to use the technique that we learned in class. So we're going to try and use the zero factor property. So let's try and factor this thing out. So again, a times c, and in our case, it's going to be negative 36. And then b goes down here at the bottom, and that's going to be a negative 16. So we're going to go ahead and look for two numbers that multiply to 36, but can give us a 16. And so if you just think of the factors of 36, so 1 times 36, let's see, 2 times, 18? 4 times 9, I think I skipped 3, so let's see, 3 times, 12? 5 doesn't, 6 times 6, and I think those are all the factors of 36. So from this list of factors, which one can we get a 16 from? Well, hopefully you see it, but we can get 16 from 2 and 8. So we're going to have 2 and 18, not 8, so 2 and 18. And in order for this to work out, the 18 has to be negative here. So negative 18 plus 2 is negative 16, and negative 18 times 2 is negative 36, so that works out. Then remember we said we're going to go ahead and divide by our a, and so our a term here is a 3. And remember, I can go ahead and reduce this. This is going to go ahead and reduce to negative, let's see, if I divide by 3, negative 6 over 1. And so we're going to then go into our factors here. So the first factor is going to turn into 3x plus 2. The second factor will turn into 1x minus 6 equals 0. And so we can go ahead and solve each piece here. And so if I solve the first piece, we now have 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. So if I move the 2 over, that becomes negative 2. And then if I divide by 3, I end up with negative 2 over 3 as an answer. If I look at the other one, we have x minus 6 is equal to 0. And if I add 6 to both sides, then I get that x is equal to positive 6. And so I have my two possible solutions here. And I say possible because we got to remember that we have to go back to our problem. So let's go back up here. So let's see, what were the answers again? We had positive 6 and negative 2/3. So it looks like it's going to be this one, but we have to be careful here and make sure that the answers that we selected are okay. Now if I look carefully at my problem, I notice that I have, let's see, let me do this in blue. I notice that I have x minus 2 in the denominator. So what that tells me is that x minus 2 cannot be 0, which implies that x cannot be 2. And then the second denominator here says that x plus 2, we have x plus 2, so x plus 2 cannot be 0. And that implies that x cannot be negative 2. Now the answers that we got were negative 2/3 and positive 6, and so that's okay as long as we didn't get negative 2 or a positive 2. And that's how we solve these rational equations. These are the steps that you would take to solve such an equation. You'll have a few of these, I think, on your quiz, and so hopefully this video helps you out. I'll go to make another video where we look at radical equations with radicals, and I'll go step by step on that one on how to solve those as well.